1 hour session, I'm going to discuss importantly the recent changes which is being notified by notification number 30 oblique 2020 to 36 oblique 2020, and these notification you can read with circular number 136, and all these notification and circular are dated 3rd April 2020. So I will pick up the important changes. At the same time, I'm going to touch base important burning issues. So burning issues, I've highlighted 5-6 point, important 5-6 point. Those are the burning issues in GST as on date. What I will request audience, those who are watching me, they can first listen to me carefully, and then in case they are having query, they are welcome. They can post their query in a comment box. I will try to respond back at the end of the session. In the meanwhile, requesting each one of you that listen to me carefully, and maybe I would be posting queries to all of you as well, so that you should also think on those lines. What could be the answer of the question which I'm going to ask you today? So let's start. I have divided my session into 6 burning issues and 6 important changes which is effective, and these are being notified by notification number 30 oblique 2020 to 36 oblique 2020, all dated 3rd April 2020. So let's start with the first burning issue. The first burning issue is, let's say you are a taxpayer and you got 1 crore rupees tax liability, 1 crore rupees tax liability, and you got 80 lakh rupees lying in your e-credit ledger, 80 lakh rupees. So you have to make net payment of 20 lakh rupees. But you could not pay 20 lakh rupees for the reason you were not having enough cash, no fund for sort of fund or working capital. You could not deposit 20 lakh rupees. So after 6 months, you are depositing this 20 lakh by filing GSTR 3B. Now the question comes, you have to pay interest for delayed payment of GST under section 50 subsection 1 of CGST Act. Now my simple question goes to all of you. Please tell me, if this interest to be paid, this is to be paid on gross tax liability or net tax liability, 1 crore or 20 lakh. We all are struggling with. Department has issued notices to the taxpayer pan India, and department wanted that we should deposit interest on gross tax liability. Even the CBIC tweet, which was there recently in February 2020, that tweet also said that interest to be paid on gross tax liability 1 crore. Not only this, there are one interdepartmental directives later issued by one of the senior government official from Ministry of Finance, and he has said interest to be charged on gross tax liability, and approximately 44,000 crore rupees is being estimated towards collection of interest on gross tax liability. In that particular letter, he has further said that this interest can be collected on gross tax liability even without issuing a so-called notice under section 73 and 74 of CGST Act. He has cited one section 75 subsection 12 of CGST Act, whereby he has stated no so-called notice to be issued for recovery and collection of interest on gross tax liability. Now, having said that, now my one important point to all of you, as we all are struggling, pan India, we are getting notice pertaining to this interest to be charged whether on gross tax liability or net tax liability. Now, you would be knowing that Telangana High Court, in the case of Mega Engineering, held that interest to be charged on 1 crore gross tax liability. That was the Telangana High Court judgment. And Telangana High Court has further says, Bimal, which you are arguing and saying that 80 lakh rupees lying in an e-credit ledger is nothing, it's standing in a cloud till the time it is appropriated by filing 3B and payment of tax. So even though this 80 lakh rupees lying in an e-credit ledger, Telangana High Court says it's standing in a cloud till the time appropriated. Thereafter, we got one Madras High Court division bench judgment, Reflex Industries Limited. And this is the background we are starting with. This issue was highly debated and discussed, and to apprise my all the viewers who is watching this live webinar, industry, trade and industry demanded from the government that interest must be charged on net tax liability, which is 20 lakh rupees. In 31st GST Council meeting, which was held on 22nd December 2018, it was principally decided that interest to be charged on net tax liability. And on that basis, a proviso got inserted in section 50 subsection 1 of CGST Act 2017. And this proviso says interest to be charged on net tax liability provided no proceedings has been initiated under section 73 non-fraud cases, 74 fraud cases. So this proviso got inserted and made effective. You say means this proviso got inserted. I should not say effective. I'm saying proviso got inserted by the CGST Amendment Act, and this CGST Amendment Act included number of sections. It was effective from 1st August 2019, but this proviso was kept open. It was subject to a date to be notified, and which is not yet notified. But what happened in this division bench Madras High Court judgment, Reflex Industries, in that case, Honorable Madras High Court has held that interest to be charged on net tax liability. Now, to my mind, this judgment is lacking only on one part. The bench has considered this proviso which got inserted but yet to be effective. It is from a date to be notified, which is not yet notified. But the honorable bench has considered this proviso, and depending on this proviso, they have concluded now interest to be charged on net tax liability, and that too retrospectively. But neither from the taxpayer side nor from the department side has highlighted this point before the bench that this proviso is still to be made effective by way of notification date, important effective date, which is not being done as yet. So Honorable Madras High Court Division Bench in the case of Reflex Industries, though saying interest to be charged on net tax applicable retrospectively, and they have said this is giving this proviso inserted under section 50 subsection 1, hinting that legislator wanted that interest must be charged on net tax liability. Now, having said all this thing, let's come to the conclusion point. Recently, 39th GST Council meeting held on 14th March 2020. And in that meeting, principally, once again, as a laudable, they have accepted the fact that interest must be charged on net tax liability, and that too retrospectively from 1st July 2017. This is being stated. But you know, this proviso which is there under section 50 subsection 1, it is yet to be notified, which is not notified as yet. So meaning thereby 31st GST Council meeting on 22nd December 2018, then proviso got inserted, kept open for notification date to be effective. And then again in 39 GST Council meeting, they are saying on net tax liability, contrary to CBIC tweet and their interdepartmental directives, laudable one, but only thing is lacking, it is not made effective as yet. So my humble submission to the government would be, why can't they issue a notification and made it effective, and that too retrospectively as stated and as decided, recommended in 39 GST Council meeting. Now for the viewers, you have two query before you, because you'd be asking me, sir, what should I do if I got the notice? Should I pay on gross tax liability or net tax liability? I will suggest you all that you should pay interest only on net tax liability. First portion. Second portion, what happened? If you have paid interest on gross tax liability, there may be a case. Then in that case, I'm of the view that those who have paid interest on gross tax liability, they must get the refund of interest paid on differential amount, gross tax versus net tax. If they are paid from their own pocket, which they must have paid from their own pocket only. So we are pitching and we are representing the subject matter to the government official, and I'm of the view that this interest should be charged on net tax liability retrospectively from 1st July 2017. And I've given way forward to you that we are looking from the government side that it should be notified at the earliest that this is applicable on net tax retrospectively. So this was the first burning issue. Now coming to the second point, second burning issue, and again with an example to all of you. Let's say I'm telling you the live case study. One client came to my office and client says, sir, I have taken availed wrong credit in my books of accounts. I asked him, what is the wrong credit you are referring to? He said, sir, I was supposed to take credit of 6,25,000 respectively in my CGST and SGST account. But by mistake, my accounts department, the person who is filing 3B, he had filed 3B, and you'd be knowing that we got so many technical glitches at number of time, and on the last date we always seen that server is highly occupied. So what he was doing, he was filling up his 3B and writing 6,25,000, putting the zeros, but that zero was not visible. So he was putting zero after zero and trying to submit his 3B. And this has all happened for all normal taxpayer. So as against 6,25,000 in respective CGST and SGST account, when he submitted his final 3B, it becomes 6 crore 25 lakh in respective account of CGST and SGST as against 6,25,000. So to that extent, there was excess credit availed by the company. So this client coming up to me and asking me, Mr. Jain, I have wrongly availed credit 6 crore 25 lakh in respective account CGST and SGST as against 6,25,000. What should I do? So answer is always he has to reverse the credit. That should be the answer. So I suggested him that, boss, you reverse the credit. Next question he is posting to me, sir, if I'm going to reverse this credit, I can reverse only in succeeding month. I said, yes, you have to do it in a succeeding month. So whether interest is leviable on reversal of wrong credit availed by this company, this is the moot question. So let's take this question forward and then try to decide whether interest is leviable. It is only wrong availment. As against 6,25,000, it is 6 crore 25 lakh in respective account. Now he is reversing suo moto he is reversing. So he has not utilized this credit. So it is only wrong availment. Question comes whether interest is leviable or not. You answer by yourself, those who are watching me. But now listen carefully. To me, if you post this query and this was posted as opinion work, and I given the opinion which I'm sharing with all of you, I said no interest is going to be levied on reversal of this credit which is wrongly availed. And what are the reason I cited to frame my opinion? The first reason, under section 50 subsection 1, interest is leviable only when you fail to pay tax. Fail to pay tax. So either there is non-payment of tax or there is short payment of tax. I will say when you have wrongly availed but not utilized, then this will not be turn out to be used for payment of tax. So again, I'm explaining by an example. Listen very carefully. Let's say you got 1,000 rupees liability, 1,000 rupees liability, and you got 500 rupees lying in your e-credit ledger, 500 rupees. And out of 500 rupees, let's assume 100 rupees is wrongly availed credit. So 100 rupees is wrongly availed credit. He has paid 900 rupees from e-cash ledger and 100 rupees he has paid from e-credit ledger. Now the question comes whether he has used that wrongly availed 100 rupees for discharging the tax liability. I can very well argue that wrongly availed credit, which was 100, is not utilized. I have used my all legitimate credit for discharging the tax liability. So there was nothing, no failure on my part to pay taxes. Had it been only 100 rupees in my e-credit ledger, and that I have utilized for discharging the tax liability, then the allegation could have been made, yes, I have utilized the wrongly availed credit. But in example which I'm giving you, if I have not utilized such credit, I have utilized my other eligible and legitimate credit, I can very well argue that interest on such reversal is not applicable. Second example I'm giving you, which I cited in my opinion, and it's very interesting one. I given one Patna High Court judgment, commercial steel, and that judgment also say that interest is not leviable on a reversal of wrongly availed credit. Now listen very carefully. Listen very carefully. There was one fellow, he was filing a GSTR 3B. So when he was filing GSTR 3B, he made the mistake. His liability was only 1 lakh rupees. Only 1 lakh rupees. He made the mistake. Again, the same mistake. He was, filing 3B and putting the number of 1 lakh. But, at the last fig end, we all struggle. For the region, server is down. Server is loaded. So he was filling the numbers. So as against 1 lakh, by mistake, he has quoted 100 crore rupees because he was putting zero after zero in an impression that this zero is not being accepted. So he was in an impression that this 1 lakh is not coming, putting zero after zero. And when he submitted, it became 100 crore rupees liability as against 1 lakh rupees liability. Now he has filed his 3B. Once he has filed 3B, the concerned commissionerate come to know they got a good taxpayer who has to deposit 100 crore rupees. Immediately they sent notice to that taxpayer, boss, you file your 3B, You're talking about 100 crore rupees liability. Deposit this money right now. He said, sir, it's a mistake. My 3B wrongly filed. It was only 1 lakh rupees. For your interest, this matter has gone to the court by way of writ. In the court, this taxpayer is saying to the Lordship, it was a clerical error on my part. It was only 1 lakh, but wrongly data got filled and become 100 crore. My liability is not 100 crore. What department is countering and saying, sir, tell him that he can adjust this in next succeeding month. Then this taxpayer coming and saying, sir, even if we do I adjustment till my lifetime, I will not be able to adjust. It is only 1 lakh, which is now coming 100 crore. What Honorable High Court has said? Honorable High Court has said he should be allowed to file manual 3B for correction of this mistake, and reason cited that government has not given any window to correct my own 3B. If I file my 3B and I come to know that I made my mistake either in tax liability or availing credit, which I was referring to, as against 6,25,000, it is 6 crore 25 lakh in respective account. I cannot revise my 3B. I can only do correction in succeeding month. So this is only bona fide. There is no mens rea. There is no suppression. There is no willful misstatement. And if I have not utilized such credit, then my case is a strong case on reversal of such credit, suo motu, no interest going to be levied. Now let me conclude this subject matter. You may have availed some Tran 1 credit, assume in 2017-18, or maybe a case you have availed some credit, let's say 2 years back. But now you're preparing your 18-19 annual return, and you come to know this credit is not available. So what should be done? It need to be reversed. Reverse it. But next question will come, do I require to pay interest on reversal of this credit? My answer and conclusion once again to all of you, no interest till the time credit is utilized. Credit result into reduction in payment of tax. Then you can say this credit is being utilized, hence interest leviable. So my conclusion for the second burning issue is, which I want, it should come out as a clear terms from the government side, that no interest on reversal of credit if it is not utilized. So I have taken one example of CGST, SGST, continued with the Tran 1, wrong availment even long time back, irrespective of period, lying in your books of accounts. If you can demonstrate it is not utilized, rest assured, no interest. Coming to the third burning issue. You know that for payment of GST, we got two options. Either we can pay through e-cash ledger or we can pay through e-credit ledger. We all know about it. Now, in e-cash ledger, we all are struggling with, and this was a struggle for all the taxpayer. Government wanted us to deposit cash in respective e-cash ledger account. Let's say I got my liability in CGST, assume CGST. I have wrongly deposited my cash in IGST e-cash ledger. Question goes to all of you. Can I use my IGST e-cash for discharging my CGST liability? Answer is no, can't be possible. But we were saying to the government why we have created bucket in e-cash ledger, IGST, CGST, SGST, UTGST. Says why bucket? It's a cash account. I should be allowed to pay the respective liability. Am I right? But we have made the mistake in past. We have seen many taxpayer has made the mistake. What government suggested to them? Government suggested, boss, if you have wrongly paid into IGST, take refund. How to take refund, we all know. How to get refund from the department, we all know. And now you discharge your CGST liability, the same example which I took, meaning thereby my working capital get blocked. Working capital get blocked. And rate of interest, if I delay in payment of tax, rate of interest is 18%. But if there's any delay to get refund from the department, rate of interest is only 6%. Only 6% disparity. And that too, getting the principal back is a dream for all of, and we are struggling with, and we take a lot of pain to get our money back from the department. So in same example, we have represented to the GST Council and CBIC, and we said them, sir, why you created bucket? If you have created bucket, at least you must allow intertransferability, meaning thereby if I've wrongly deposited in IGST, then you should allow me to transfer into CGST cash ledger so that I can use this e-cash ledger of CGST. If transfer is permissible, I can utilize the same. And again, to apprise all of you, to my viewers today who are watching this webcast, Facebook Live, Government GST Council principally decided and recommended. Again, in 31st GST Council meeting, you may go back and check press release. They say now intertransferability would be permitted. PMT 08. PMT 08. Whether this is made available today, I'm standing today on 10th April 2020. Decision was taken sometime on 22nd December 2018. I'm standing on 10th April 2020, whether PMT 08 is available. To surprise to all, believe me, this is not yet made effective, and PMT 08 is not available. Third burning issue. What is the burning issue? When something GST Council decide, recommend, why such provision takes hell lot of time? Similar like interest on gross tax versus net tax retrospectively. Why such decisions are taking so much time? Is there any gap between the person deciding and the person implementing? Looks like yes. And government must come out. They must do, and they must check their all past activities, because during this lockdown period, they can sit down and check what they have recommended and what is yet to be made effective. So this is the third burning issue and creating problem for the taxpayer pan India. Now, fourth burning issue. The fourth burning issue is from the recent advance ruling coming in. This advance ruling has come 2 days back, 3 days back. Even I posted on my Facebook and Twitter account today, which you would be knowing, and the tagline is, with a GST leviable. I want viewers to participate and let me know, with a GST leviable on directors' remuneration. On directors' remuneration. Now, please listen carefully. What is leviable and what is not leviable? I am of the view this advanced ruling, which is coming from Claycraft India Private Limited, I disagree with this advanced ruling. I don't agree with this advanced ruling. Reason for the same. Reason number one, if director is a whole-time director and they are enjoying employer-employee relationship, employer-employee relationship, company is employer and director is employee, and whatever money paid to the director by whatever name called, there is TDS deducted under section 192 of the Income Tax Act. 192 as salary. I'm of view, firm view, I'm telling you, that no GST to be levied, because they are into employer and employee relationship. And as per Schedule 3, any services by employee to the employer, neither a supply of goods nor supply of services. No GST should be levied. But now next question will come, which you'd be asking me, sir, what happened if he's not a whole-time director and not enjoying employer-employee relationship? How to identify? Boss, when directors gets appointed and whatever remuneration decided to be paid to the director, we principally decide the relationship between the two parties. If relationship in such a mode that employer and employee is being stated, 192 made applicable, section 192 for the TDS deduction, I don't see there's any doubt exists. But in case you are giving a meeting fees, some other amount, and 194J as a professional services in a capacity of director, services given to the company, then in that case GST going to be levied. So what distinction I've created for the viewers? If it is employer-employee relationship, salary, TDS deducted under section 192, substantiated with a documentation, then no GST. Believe me, no GST. GST is going to be levied only when it is other than employment contract. Whatever money paid by whatever name called, and you are applying 194J of IT Act as a professional services, then GST leviable. Third, if GST leviable, then it would be reverse charge method. Company must deposit GST under reverse charge method by notification number for supply of services. Reverse charge, you must look at notification number 13/2017, 13/2017, and you must look at entry number 6. I'm giving all food for thought. Reverse charge method. Now creating more interest within this case study. Let's say director is having one building, and that building is being let out to the company where he is giving his services as a director. And let's assume it is 194J I'm talking about, reverse charge method. Now for letting out the property, rent to be paid to the director by the company. Question comes whether this rent to be paid to the director, reverse charge method as stated for services by director to the company, is applicable. I'm just asking to all of you. Maybe you can look at, and I want to see your response this time also. Now maybe 2-3 quick response I want, whether this rent paid for letting out the property by director to the company can be covered under reverse charge method. Say yes or no. I want to just see yes and no in your comment box. I just want to see what is your response coming out. I want to see viewers that what is their response. Quickly, fast. I want you must chip in and give me the answer. Okay. All right. Okay. Very good. Mayank, Amit, so many. CMA Sachin, Sachikant, Barbeji, Raunak, Lalit Modi, Anjali Goyal, Rohit Chaudhary, Pranab, Pravin Seth. Thank you very much. Now I want you to stop. Listen to me now carefully. Now listen. No reverse charge. Rightly said by everyone concerned, then forward charge applicable. And in that case, the director has to take registration depending on the threshold amount. He has to take registration. So this advanced ruling which is coming, I got 2 more query pertaining to this advanced ruling. Somebody has commented on my Twitter box and said, sir, now this advanced ruling authority has decided what is the way forward. what is to be done? Way forward would be, now this company has to go and file appeal before Appellate Authority of Advanced Ruling. They have to go and file appeal before Appellate Authority of Advanced Ruling, AAAR. And let's assume AAAR also affirm. Let's assume AAAR also affirm this wrong judgment, which is given by AAR. Then what happened? What is the recourse open? Then in that case, per my view, we can file a writ in the High Court on the point that question of law is not properly dealt with by the Advanced Ruling Authority. So I'm of the view, this advanced ruling coming out, even after AAAR judgment, if it is continued, then we have option to go to High Court and we can highlight that the question of law is not properly dealt by Advanced Ruling Authority. Now, third point of this particular case study, why such judgment are being given Advanced Ruling Authority? Are they not aware of? Because similar issue was existing in pre-GST era under service tax. Under service tax also directed services to the company under reverse charge method, except employment contract will settle. Why Advanced Ruling Authority? I know they are government officials, they decide on pro-revenue perspective, but can they travel beyond the law and pass the judgment which is prima facie, on the face of it is incorrect? I'm of the view we have to correct such mechanism if we want to reduce litigation in the country. It's taking away time and cost both together. For the taxpayer and tax department, there must be some yardstick set for the government officials as well, because they must adhere to the law. Just for the sake they want to protect revenue, that they should not pass any judgment which is contrary to the law. So this was my fourth Advanced Ruling Authority. Now coming to the fifth point. Fifth point is very, very important and very interesting. Give me 1 minute only. Fifth point, very interesting. You know that's annual return and GST audit. Annual return and GST audit. GSTR 9, GSTR 9C for financial year 2018-19. Since I'm getting this query from Pan India, so I have chosen this topic to deliberate before you. For 2018-19, GSTR 9 and 9C, first due date is extended to 30th June 2020. First date is extended. Second point, as you'd be knowing that government has already amended the rule, and whereby GSTR 9, which is annual return, made optional for the taxpayer whose aggregate turnover is less than 2 crore. Less than 2 crore. If it is more than 2 crore, then GSTR 9 need to be filed and GSTR 9C supposed to be filed, both. But for financial year 2018-19, in 39 GST Council meeting, which was held on 14th March 2020, it got decided that taxpayer having aggregate turnover less than 5 crore, then no GST audit, no filing of GSTR 9C is being required. So meaning thereby for 18-19, if your aggregate turnover is less than 5 crore in financial year 18-19, then GST audit need not required. But question will come, do they require to file GSTR 9? because their aggregate turnover is less than 5 crore but more than 2 crore. More than 2 crore. Of course, GSTR 9 would be required by them, which is annual return, to be filed for 1819. So this 1819 clarity emerges. If it is less than 2 crore, then GSTR 9 is optional. If it is more than 2 crore, GSTR 9 need to be filed, but less than 5 crore, then 9C is not required. But taxpayer having aggregate turnover more than 5 crore, then both GSTR 9 and GSTR 9C both required to be filed, and now due date extended to 30th June 2020. So coming to the now next point, and this next point pertaining to another burning issues pan India. Recently, we have seen that department had cancelled the registration of taxpayer suo moto. They have cancelled the registration suo moto. So one provision, one recommendation was made in 39 GST Council meeting. In that recommendation, it is being stated, wherever the registration got cancelled till 14th March 2020, wherever registration got cancelled till 14 March 2020, they would be given one-time relief. They can file revocation application for cancel registration, and by 30th June 2020. 30th June 2020. So this is the window given to such taxpayer whose registration got cancelled till 14th March 2020. As one-time relief measure, they can file their revocation application by 30th June 2020. But this provision still need to be made effective. This was a recommendation on 14th March. Let's see how quickly this can be made on system for filing the revocation application. Now, having said that, what are the ground when registration can be cancelled suo moto by the government official? Section 29 subsection 2. It is very interesting that you must see the provision. The first provision says, if being a taxpayer, if you have violated any provision of the act or rules, this may be a ground for cancellation of registration. Can you think of such kind of provision? Such an open provision given in the hands of government official for cancelling the registration, any provision of the act and rules made thereunder. That is the irony. This is the way law is being drafted. Sometime when I read such provision, it looks to me GST is stated to be good and simple tax, but it is not turning out to be good and simple tax. Other scenarios for cancellation of registration suo moto by the proper officer is, if you're a composition dealer and you have not filed consecutively 3 tax period return. If you're a normal taxpayer, you have not filed 6 months consecutively your tax return, or you are voluntarily registered and you have not commenced your business within 6 months from the date of registration, or you have taken registration by fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression. These are the ground. Other grounds looks to me okay, but giving open blanket violated any provision of the act and rules made thereunder create problems. And I've seen a lot many genuine taxpayers registration got cancelled, but this relief which was recommended in 39 GST Council meeting, I'm sure that the provisions are getting amended in a timely manner basis, and the window should be kept open and should be allowed to be open at the earliest, so that the taxpayer can file their revocation application for cancel registration. So these were some of the burning issues I thought I must take with all of you. Now let me take some recent changes. Recent changes by notification number 30 to 36, 2020, and all dated 3rd April 2020, read with circular number 136 dated 3rd April 2020. Now again, there are 6 important points. Point wise, I'm going to discuss this with all of you. So maybe you can note down such changes and then we can proceed further. The first one is the burning issue and the changes made by notification number 30/2020. There's one rule called Rule 36 sub Rule 4. Rule 36 sub Rule 4. It got inserted from 9th October 2019 by notification number 49/2019. And what was this rule? This rule was creating a capping of 20% effective from 9th October 2019, later reduced to 10% from 1st January 2020. There will be capping of 10% of my eligible credit pertaining to such invoices or debit note which is not uploaded by my supplier or vendor in their GSTR1, meaning thereby if my vendor has not uploaded such invoice and debit note, then that will not be reflected in my 2A. So let's take an example so that we can understand. Let's say you got 15 lakh rupees book credit. You got 15 lakh rupees book credit in your books of accounts. And you got 10 lakh rupees credit reflected in your 2A, GSTR 2A, being a recipient of goods or services. Now there's a mismatch of 5 lakh rupees. Mismatch of 5 lakh rupees. Such invoices and debit note are not uploaded by your vendor or supplier. Now question comes, if it is not being uploaded, can you take this 5 lakh rupees credit in your books of accounts? That is what the Rule 36 sub Rule 4 of CGST Rule 2017, it says it's not possible. Now there will be capping of 10%. 10% of what? 10% of eligible credit, which is reflected in your 2A. So I said in my 2A it was 10 lakh rupees. Let's proceed further. Let's assume in this 10 lakh there's a 2 lakh rupees credit which is called block credit, negative list. This credit is not eligible to you. So you are left out with net eligible credit of 8 lakh rupees. Now as against 5 lakh rupees, which is not reflected in your 2A, how much credit you can avail by way of this Rule 36 sub Rule 4? Please reply in your comment box quickly. I want my viewers to write the answer how much I am allowed to avail credit pertaining to 5 lakh rupees which invoices and debit note not uploaded. So it is coming out 10% of eligible credit, which is 8 lakhs, so 80,000 rupees. Yes, Sachin, 80,000 rupees. Anjani, it is only 80,000 for 5 lakh. 8 lakh is already available, so 8 lakh 80,000 rupees total credit would be available. Yes, Murli Manoharji, you're right. Hemant is also right. So I'm not naming them. They all are responding. Bharat, Ashish, everyone. Ashish, correct yourself. It would be 8,80,000. All right, 8,80,000. Now coming to the problem. We know there's a problem of GSTR 2A, when we need to check GSTR 2A, it is stated one circular got issued 123 dated 11th November 2019. And as per this circular, they have said that I need to download my GSTR 2A of 11th of next month. So there was a big problem, and these problems and issues are: what happened if my vendor filing GSTR on 12th as against 11th is the due date? Then you have to go back to the next month for availing credit. Second, what happened if my vendor is a quarterly return filer? There would be mismatch and working capital block. I do agree, no denial. Do I require to look at supplier wise, invoice wise, or consolidated? It is stated in the circular consolidated, but I'm of the view you need to go back as per the invoice wise. I can give you the example as well, but time is of course, that's the reason I'm not extending. And even I'm of the view this rule 36 sub rule 4 is contrary, ultra vires the provision of the CGST Act. 43A subsection 4, which talks about furnishing of return and tax and credit, tax charged by supplier, credit availed by the recipient. 43A subsection 4 is yet to be made effective. Initially it was from 1st April 2020 new return system, but now postponed to 1st October 2020. This provision is not yet effective, and this rule is being inserted, and this rule is being challenged also in the Delhi High Court and other High Court, and writ got admitted. Notice is being issued to the revenue. I'm of the view that this particular rule is supposed to be held contrary. So you may decide as per your business exigencies. To my view, it is ultra vires the act. So what is the change coming out? What is written in notification number 30/2020? What it is saying? Look at the change. It's saying compliance of rule 36 sub rule 4, compliance of rule 36 sub rule 4 means these condition, capping condition for the month of February to August 2020, February, March, April, May, June, July, and August. So these condition of rule 36 sub rule 4 for these many months can be cumulatively complied, in the month of September 3B. In the month of September 2023B. So for February to August, they are relaxing, that this condition is being relaxed, but cumulative effect, cumulative compliance of these conditions for these many months from February to August would be given effect in the 3B of September 2020. This is the change coming out by notification number 30/2020. Quickly running 3-4 more important points for composition dealer. They have said if you have not opted for composition dealer for financial year 2020-21, CMP 02, then for you they have said by 30th June 2020, you can file your CMP 02 opting for composition. ITC 03, in case you are moving from normal to composition, you need to reverse your ITC pertaining to input in semi-finished goods, input in finished goods, capital goods, ITC 03, that you can file by 31st July 2020. Now next change, your self-assessment tax under composition dealer, which is CMP 08. CMP 08, composition dealer paying self-assessment tax quarterly. So for the quarter January to March 2020, Now CMP 08 can be filed and your self-assessment tax can be paid by 7 July 2020. And your GSTR 4, which is now annual affairs for financial year 2019-20, can be filed by 15th July 2020. It is for composition dealer. Now coming for the GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 for the normal taxpayer. The three notification, 31 which talks about interest, 32 which talks about the late fees for 3B, and 33 which talks about late fees for GSTR 1. First, you should keep to your mind, there is no due date extended. No due date extended. What is being said by 31 and 32/2020, they have created category, three category. If you are a taxpayer having aggregate turnover more than 5 crore in preceding financial year, then you must file your GSTR 3B for the month of February, March, April by 24th June 2020. If you file by 24 June 2020, then first, this complete waiver of late fees, complete waiver, no late fees going to be levied. Second, interest would be nil for 15 days. So from due date, which is normal due date, to 15 days, no interest. But after the 15 days, thereafter, reduced rate of interest, 9% going to be levied. So we can take one example and understand this point. Let's say for the month of March, because they have stated February, March and April to be filed by 24th June. Let's say for March, due date of 3B is 20th April. Now they have said, if you file your March 3B by 24th June, then no late fees going to be levied. Interest for 15 days would be nil. Only thereafter, reduced rate of interest 9% per annum to be calculated on daily basis. So let's say this March return I'm referring to, till 5th of May, no interest. But after that, reduced rate of interest 9% per annum to be calculated daily basis. So let's say if I'm filing on 10th May, then interest of 9% per annum calculated daily basis to be levied for 5 days, and no late fee is going to be levied. Let's assume you're filing your this March return on 30th June, then in that case, waiver of late fees will not be there. And even that this interest, the relaxation, the benefit which we got will not be available. It is available only when you file your 3B for February, March and April by 24th June 2020. Now coming to the second category, taxpayer having aggregate turnover less than 5 crore in preceding financial year. But in this category, they have created two categories. The one category is taxpayer having aggregate turnover less than 5 crore but more than 1.5 crore. Less than 5 crore but more than 1.5 crore in preceding financial year. Then for them, they can file their GSTR 3B for February and March by 29 June. February and March by 29 June. And for April by 30th June. If they file by this due date, no interest, no late fees going to be levied. What happened for taxpayer having aggregate turnover less than 1.5 crore in preceding financial year? Then the notification 31, 32 be read together, and they say that you must file your February return by 30th June, March return by 3rd July, and April return by 6th July. So this is what being stated. Then one question must be coming to your mind. What happened for my May return? May 2020. Now you have to go back to notification number 36 oblique 2020, dated 3rd April 2020. Now for the May return, they say if you're a taxpayer having aggregate turnover more than 5 crore in a preceding financial year, then due date would be 27th June. 27th June. And if you're a taxpayer having aggregate turnover less than 5 crore in preceding financial year, then it is staggered on two different dates, 12 July and 14 July, depending on the specified state, which you may see in that notification 36 oblique 2020. So this is pertaining to 3B. What happened for GSTR1? For GSTR1, there is a complete waiver of late fees. Complete waiver of late fees for the month of March, April, May. March, April, May. So difference. When we talk about 3B, it was February, March, April. But for GSTR1, it's a March, April, May. Complete waiver of late fees or quarter ending March, you must file by 30th June. If you file by 30th June, no late fees going to be levied. Now coming to the important and last one, and then we'll conclude today's webcast, and which is being done for Western Maharashtra Tax Practitioners Association. They put a request to me, and for them I'm doing this particular webcast Facebook Live. And with this Facebook Live, I'm sure there are so many other friends who are watching this. We all are getting benefited. The last point, notification number 35 oblique 2020. All 3rd April 2020. Very interesting. Listen carefully. If validity of eBay bill, which is expiring in a period 20th March to 15th April, then it is getting extended to 30th April 2020. First. Second part, that the return GSTR 5 for non-resident taxable person, ISD GSTR 6, TDS deductor GSTR 7, tax collection at source GSTR 8. And for this they have stated, where any time limit, listen, this line is very carefully. This line is very important. Where any time limit is expiring in a period starting from 20th March 2020 to 29th June 2020. So time limit expiring in this time period, then the due date would be 30th June 2020. I got some queries, so I'm taking those queries as well. That somebody asked me, sir, I'm a TDS return filer. My GSTR 7, now you said 30th June. Do I require to make payment on 30th June only? So that no interest, no late fees? Yes, on 30th June 2020 would be the due date. So this is for GSTR 5, 6, 7 and 8. Coming to the third component of this discussion, any compliance in GST law, any compliance in GST law, maybe refund application to be filed, maybe appeal to be filed, maybe statement to be submitted, maybe LUT to be executed, letter of undertaking to be executed for export of goods or services without payment of tax, any compliance in GST law whose time limit expiring in a period 20th March 2020 to 29 June 2020, due date is extended to 30th June 2020. In the said notification 35/2020, they have created exclusion, exception to this particular benefit given, blanket benefit given. Like they're saying this provision is not applicable for time of supply, valuation, section 27. So I will request viewers to check this 35/2020 notification. Blanket relaxation available except exclusion. So you must check what are excluded from this benefit which is being extended, falling in a period of 28th March to 29th June. So having said that, I have tried to make everything simple. So we have extended. It was only meant for 1 hour time. It is now 1 hour 15 minutes. I have tried from my side to take all burning issues. I have tried from my side to bring all recent changes. Hope all the viewers must have got benefited. I tried my best, whatever best possible from my side. So I can only say, in case you're having some query, in case somebody is asking me, let me take those queries, and then 5 minutes I will take query and close. What happened for the new registration? Of course, for new registration also date is getting extended. Don't worry about that. Lobis is asking section 16 subsection 4 restriction on ITC applicable on reverse charge method. No, rule 30, when we talk about section 16 subsection 4, RCM is not applicable. So I'm getting a lot many queries. What I will request to each one of you, you can post your comment, you can post your query. I'm giving my mobile number to all of you. Let's see. See, this is the lockdown period. We need to really do something good for the nation, and that too we must do on charitable basis. I'm giving my mobile number. Send this WhatsApp to me. I will try my best to respond back to you as time permit to me. My mobile number is 98-106-04-563. Now I can say just one line to all of you. We all are in lockdown period. Now we all are fighting together against this corona, COVID-19. And I am saying together we will win. What we have to do, we have to stay back at home. We have to be together, and we have to come at home only. Together means the mindset of social distancing. We should not go out, remain in your house, stay back with your family, take care of yourself and your family, and be united with the Honorable Prime Minister's, Prime Minister is asking whole Indian citizen that we must be united together to fight against COVID-19. And I'm finding this COVID-19 is creating a situation for India as an opportunity, because India is going to be emerged as one of the emerging economy, because we all are seeing that how the things are moving on a world map, and all advanced countries are looking India that how we can fight against COVID-19, irrespective of any religion, language, whether Hindu, Muslim, we must be united together to fight against COVID-19. And thanking each one of you for giving your time, though you are at home, but giving your time to see my webcast. Your comment, feedback, suggestion are well appreciated. You can send your query on my mobile number, which I've given to all of you. And with this, allow me to say thank you, and thanking once again to each one of you. Thank you very much.